Hello, greetings everybody. I want to welcome you here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, other forms of rock music. So today we're doing an episode. It's Tuesday, so we've been alternating on Tuesdays between decades and Not What I Hoped For. We're doing an episode of Not What I Hoped For, and it'll be featuring this album by Genesis called Duke. So basically, what we do on this show is I pick an album that I kind of liked a bit, or I kind of hoped that it would be more than it was. In this case, it's a little bit of the latter. So I've never really grown too fond of this album, other than the two tracks that I hear on the radio, which I like. I thought this would be an album that would bring me forth. So, but it hasn't. It's to me, it's ended up being not what I hoped for. So today's album, Genesis Duke. So basically, with Duke, Duke came out in 1980, I believe. Let me check the. I don't know why I checked. Yep, 1980. I thought that's what the year it was. I remember it because I've been working at a place for about a year at that point. I was only 16, maybe I was only 15 at the time. And they had a radio in the back, and they were always playing that Turn It On Again and Misunderstanding from Genesis, which were the first two Genesis songs I'd ever heard. And I thought, wow, this is great. I like this. But, I was still young and wasn't really into the progressive stuff. So fast forward many years later, maybe about 3 years ago, I bought this album. So now it's been about 40 years since it's been out. And I thought many people had told me that those two songs were the only kind of poppy songs on the album. The rest of the album was progressive. So I thought, great. I like those, so I'll probably like these even more. But I've never quite warmed up to this album. I'm just going to put my glasses back on here. It just, I don't know what it is. Yes, there's Behind the Lines. I don't mind that track. But all these other songs, Heat Haze, Turn It On Again, well, that one, no. Alone Tonight, Cul-de-sac, Please Don't Ask, Duke's Travels, Duke's End, the Duke Things. I just never have really I've never really connected with those songs, and so I found this album, which I thought was going to be much better because the rest of the stuff was progressive. I just found this album lacking. I don't like the cover too much either. It's kind of strange. I just found this album lacking. The production's good, and a lot of people say there's a lot of good stuff on here. But I've listened, and every once in a while, I tell myself, well, maybe my ears are ready for it, and I'll go and I'll play it again. And I even had it in a playlist for a while at the beginning when I first started doing that kind of thing, and it just doesn't do anything for me. Just this. It's not that I dislike it. I can't even say that. It just doesn't have any kick for me. It doesn't do nothing for me. It doesn't get me up. Doesn't make me think, oh, I want to hear more of this. Doesn't do any of that. It's there. I like it when the Turn It On Again comes, and then I pretty much ignore it the rest of the time. It just hasn't taken off. Maybe someday it still will. Of course, there's always that option. But for today, it's just one of those albums that just really wasn't what I hoped for. So anyways, there you have it. This episode, not what we hoped for, featuring Genesis Duke. I hope you've liked this episode. If you have, please hit the like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and the comments in below. And do you guys feel the same way about this album? Does it feel lackluster to you? Or is it more of an extension of And Then There Were Three, but maybe not a good extension? I don't know. You tell me. Anyways, thanks for coming on board the show today, and we will see you next week for the final episode of Decades. And in actual fact, it might not be the final episode because I am seriously considering doing a part decade with the final episode for the years that followed 2020. By that time, it's getting close to the year, so we've done about 4 years in. I'm sure I can find 10 albums for that decade even if it is a part one. Anyways, take care and have yourself a good evening. Goodbye.